Welcome, everybody. This is HOWA's Homes on Wheels Alliance's virtual caravan class called Preparing for the Road. I'm Sue Ann Carlson, Executive Director of HOWA. And so I want to just let you know how we're going to spend the next hour or so. We'll spend the first half an hour listening to our speaker about preparing on the road. The second half hour with question and answers. You will ask your answers in chat, and then I'll forward them to our speaker about preparing on the road. And then the last 15 minutes we'll all be on chat, and you can chat with each other, or you can chat more with the speaker and ask additional questions should you have them. It's my great pleasure to let you know that Alicia Gordon is our speaker today. She is your usual MC here, not me. She's the coordinator of HOWA's Caravan program, both the virtual caravans and the in-person caravans when we're able to have camps again. She's also the coordinator of HOWA's Emergency Fund program. There are 2 children whom she homeschools. She has a YouTube channel called ABZ Minimalist, and she is a full-time nomad. She's eminently qualified to talk about preparing for the road. Please join me in welcoming Alicia Gordon.
Thank you so very much, Sue, for such a wonderful introduction. A pleasant morning to you. There's nothing like waking up to a gentle breeze and warm radiating sunlight with the rising sun casting a rosy hue across the morning sky, and listening to the early birds as they sing joyfully, cheering you on as you gleefully greet your neighbors of pine trees and squirrels, enjoying the beauty of nature, knowing that this will be your new life, and remembering what you traded in to see the unique terrain of mountains, water, plateaus, and forests. Sounds like your daydream? Well, welcome to Preparing for the Road. For the beginner, this is how you would go about preparing for a full-time nomad lifestyle. This morning, I'd like to cover the different stages you'd go through from apartment or house dwelling to traveling and living on the road. Firstly, let me give you a synopsis of the 5 different stages to preparing for the road. 1, research and planning, which includes finances, budget, emergency fund, and person of contact. 2, decluttering your possessions. 3, downsizing to a smaller space. 4, getting your home on wheels ready and moving in. And 5, adventure and a new beginning. Let's expound on stage 1, which is research and planning. This beginning stage may be the most crucial, as planning is your roadmap to freedom, and to some extent, you being happy living on the road. I personally took 3 years to research and plan, and had a backup plan in the event that my plan did not work out for me and my kids. Researching involves finding out all the information you can about the nomadic lifestyle and traveling, learning where people camp, how they camp, how to locate those campsites, knowing your vehicle and travel limitations. Begin with Cheap RV Living YouTube channel to see practical ways others are living the nomad lifestyle and gather ideas that can be applied to the way you plan on doing it. Planning has a trickling effect and will intertwine throughout the other stages, and it's continuous even when you do become a nomad. Unless you're someone who likes to wing it, and that's okay too. Planning will see you formulating a strict budget to cover your monthly expenses, not exceeding your income. You will need to set up an emergency fund to cover unforeseen expenses like a breakdown, blown tire, or any sudden non-routine maintenance repairs. Plan for the unexpected on the road. If you are not financially prepared to handle a breakdown on the road, that needs to be addressed prior to pursuing your travel lifestyle. Select someone who's willing to become your emergency contact and save it in your phone or keep it that person's information where it's easily accessible in the event you have an emergency. Here are some other things to consider while you're planning. Budgeting. Budgeting is simply balancing your expenses with your income by creating a spending plan which allows you to determine in advance whether you will have money to do the things you need to do or possibly like to do. Budgeting is really about understanding how much money you have, where it goes, and then planning how to allocate those funds best. There are simple budgeting apps or checkbook balancing apps that you can download, and those will help you simplify and manage your money and help you not overspend by tracking your spending. Set up a rigid budget to include all your expenses versus income and stick to it like a glue, or as I usually say, white on rice. This is especially essential if you have limited income. A strict budget does not have room for flexibility or unplanned spending. Be sure to know how you plan on making your nomadic lifestyle sustainable. Plan your budget carefully, and you're at a great start in preparing for the road. Emergency fund. Think of financially depleting experiences and emergencies that you've encountered throughout your lifetime. Changing your lifestyle just means the type of emergencies you have may be different. Coming on the road without having a way of covering any sudden or unexpected breakdown of your home on wheels is highly discouraged. Set up and maintain an emergency fund for those unforeseen repairs you may need. And so then when it does happen, you're able to take care of it immediately. Whenever you have a breakdown on the road, your reaction should be one of inconvenience rather than panic, uncertainty, nervousness, and anxiety. Savings. I mentioned budgeting and emergency fund, but saving a small portion of your income and getting your finances in order will give you peace of mind for when you need it most. As it relates to finances, get out of debt before you hit the road if at all possible. Here is where a strict budget can help you fix many of your financial problems, even when money is limited or tight. It's additional planning if you're planning on traveling with your kids, a spouse, a partner, pets, or friends. So add those to your list. Deciding if you will need to work full-time, part-time, or seasonally while you travel, and if you do, securing work or knowing what seasonal jobs you'll be doing before heading out. So know how much money you need to earn monthly to cover all your expenses. If you're retired, ensuring that your Social Security or pension is adequate to finance the kind of lifestyle travel you'll be doing. If you have medical needs, such as frequent doctor appointments or need to refill your prescriptions regularly, ensure they're met or can be met while you travel, or have a plan to visit your home state whenever necessary for appointments or medical care. If you don't have your rig already, getting your roadworthy home on wheels ready for the road is surely and will surely engulf a major part of your research and planning. Have maintenance services done and any necessary repairs, whether it's an RV, a van, a car, a SUV, bus, truck, or pickup. You will need to make relevant and specific plans how you'll maintain your vehicle to get the longest possible and optimal performance from it. Traveling with pets and knowing how that would work for you is necessary. Know how you plan on caring for them during different seasons on the road. Knowing how you plan on living day to day on the road, like how you'll prepare your meals, where you'll fill up with water, dispose of your trash, get propane and supplies, groceries, etc. On semi-completion of stage 1, you will now be ready for stage 2, decluttering. At the first question is, How and where do I start to declutter my life of procuring things? These are my prized possessions, Alicia. So they're from my lifetime of assiduous work. So how do I let go and give it up? Here are some possible solutions that you could implement and start purging. A slow start. There's no one rushing you to get rid of all your things in one clean shot. How much of your things you get rid of in the beginning will depend on the space you'll have for transporting the rest in your home on wheels. You can take an inventory of your items, but that's quite time consuming. Start with a small area and by categories. If you need a guide, there is a popular method that you could use called the KonMari method by discarding in a specific order or of clothes first, then books, papers, miscellaneous, and lastly, keepsakes. These are my personal recommendations in decluttering by categories. 1, books, because they're bulky and heavy and easily replaced with e-readers or apps like Kindle or Audible. 2, paper. Digitize everything paper-wise. Please watch the video done by Suen called Going Paperless on HOWA YouTube channel to get a clear understanding of how and what to digitize. Then move on to your closet, followed by the bathroom, kitchen, then the smallest room. By then, you've gained momentum and ready to tackle the bigger picture and areas in your rooms. Keep things that serve you and that have multi-purposes or uses. Embrace minimalism and the notion of traveling light. I'm not an advocate for wasting money on storage units. However, if you're having issues letting go of some of your possessions, then consider renting a storage unit and gradually get rid of your stuff as you're ready to go. When I purchased my RV 5 years ago, I had already downsized from a home and bouncing around in different size apartments. By the time I made my mind up that this is it, I literally stuffed my RV full of containers and couldn't find a footstep size space to place my feet to walk. So decluttering can take a while and it varies individually. It also depends on how deeply attached you are to things and the value you place on those things. Those items can be sold, donated, you can give it away, you can toss the garbage or whatever you don't need. Once you finally release them, you get an overwhelming sense of relief and freedom. Decluttering and minimizing your things will be ongoing throughout, even after you hit the road. You'll realize what's necessary and what you can live without to have more space and less clutter. One of my favorite songs that I listened to while decluttering years ago and recommend to motivate you is Peter Doran. And the title of the song is Every Little Thing. So search his name on YouTube. He's Peter Doran. The song is Every Little Thing. And it goes something like this. Every little thing you think that you need. Every little thing you think that you need. Oh, I beg that you'll be fine without it. Every little thing that catches your eyes. Every little thing that sparkles and shines. Oh, I beg that you'll be fine without it. Well, that's the best you'll get out of me, but it helps that he plays the guitar well and you'll be getting rid of all that you don't need. So we move into stage 3, downsizing from a home or apartment. So in stage 2, it's a good thing that you did declutter because now you're able to move into a much smaller space. If a part of your planning includes the process of downsizing from a home into an apartment for a year or so to ease the transition that's taken initiative in ensuring you're working on your plan in a timely manner and biting it off in tiny bits at a time. However, if you plan to move, or if your plan is to move right into your home on wheels from your house by selling and making that immediate transition, then Ensure that you have camped before in different places, not just a weekend or two, but you've camped and you enjoy the experience. Knowing the ins and outs of travel lifestyle and making sure that your decision is a solid one that you won't come to regret in adequate research, planning, and some dry runs. It's like test driving a vehicle really prior to purchasing it. Downsizing can be a bit daunting, I do know that, but what you will come to save monetarily is a big stress reliever. Make sure you're taking care of your mental health and listen or watch motivational videos like what Bob does on Cheap RV Living YouTube channel with his quotes to live by. Whenever you start to lose hope and feel down about the new direction your life is taking, listen to the quotes and remind yourself that your freedom is worth giving up some stuff or some comfort stuff to free up yourself to travel, explore, or just relax in nature. Finally, getting your home on wheels ready and moving in. For those of you who don't have your vehicle to live in yet, be sure to check out how to buy a vehicle on Bob's channel, and HOWA also did a class on that topic, which may be available soon. By now, you have selected the right home on wheels to suit your needs. At this point, you've already researched, planned, decluttered, and downsized. Now it's time, and it's getting closer to the real deal of moving in your mobile home and getting ready to hit the road. These are what you'd have known by now or done. How to find camping locations. You would have taken several camping trips and thoroughly enjoyed spending time in nature. Remember, this will become your home. Ensure that you have an emergency plan in place, like a contact person in the event you get sick, or knowing the different places you can boondock for free, knowing BLM land rules and leave no trace principles, camping protocols, especially in this time of social distancing and isolating. Keep safe on the road. You can watch the class on Keeping Safe on HOWA YouTube channel. Please check that out. Every class on there is applicable to preparing for the road, going in depth in each topic. Weapons laws is, if applicable, know your rights, different state laws when it comes to traveling with weapons across states. Set up a mail forwarder to receive your mail while you travel, and use a family member or friend's address if you can set up one. Remember, you modify your home to suit your needs and set it up how it will best suit you. We all have a method to our madness, don't we? So as you have seen numerous videos of how different individuals build out their homes, and from a simple no-build build to more advanced and complex build outs. Make sure you're not overwhelmed with the process, and by keeping it simple and possibly adding anything necessary as you become acclimated to the lifestyle. Only you can decide how simple or complex your process of build out is. You learn how to be flexible and adapt, becoming more frugal, conserving your resources, and responsible for preserving nature by leaving as little footprints as possible wherever you travel. How much money you will need to live on the road all depends on how much you're willing to give up and live without. So once you're all moved in and settled in your new home on wheels, you're at the final stage of adventure and a new beginning. So you've read all of the Nomadic Life books. You've watched hundreds of hours of videos. You've listened to audiobooks and taken classes like HOWA's Resourceful channel. If you're anything like me, you'll ask yourself, how many more videos do I need to watch to finally do this, to take the plunge? And that was the time I hit the road. And now you're ready to venture off into finding spectacular sunsets. Hitting the road for adventure, peace, tranquility, freedom, or whatever your reason is to wanting to become a nomad. Know how you're going to meet other like-minded nomads on the road by using our Facebook Camp Together group or cheaprvliving.com forums. It's a new, wonderful beginning, a fresh start, a new way of living an alternative lifestyle. So you choose visiting family and friends at will, visiting places on your bucket list, and possibly adding more as your adventure widens. Being the one to completely and independently be in charge of why, what, when, where, and how you do what you do. So here on, you're the boss. Is living on the road cheaper than living in an apartment? Yes. If you're the one footing the rent and bills, remember, reduce or eliminate wants, and you'll think you had an increase in your income. Useful apps to find campsites are Overlander, Campendium, and the website freecampsites.net. And this is really amazing. So also check out HOWA's Facebook group, Camp Together, by searching We Camp Together to find other nomads to camp with. Living free and aware, but not in fear. So remember, you're transitioning from one lifestyle to the next. And it may not be easy in the beginning, but with time, it will get better. And you'll have experiences and adventures of a lifetime, not to mention the amazing nomads you will meet down the road. So I do look forward to your questions today and just want to go over just little tips that I could personally give you from when I started traveling 5 years ago, the RV lifestyle, to where I am now. So 5 years ago, I just decided that I needed to downsize, declutter, and pursue a much simpler way of living. I was pretty much tired of keeping up, and it wasn't working out for me. By then, my first baby girl, Bree, she was starting to grow up. She was going to a private Christian school, and little Zia was on her way, and I wanted to find a way where I could stay home and homeschool my girls. And so I thought RV lifestyle would be perfect for me. But then I had no idea about how to live free and travel. All I knew then was RV parks and campgrounds. So that's what I did for 3 solid years, living in an RV community. And of course, footing the expenses that come with that. Back in Georgia, renting an RV lot can be quite a lump sum. So renting a spot range anywhere from $800 to $1,000, depends on where you are. So I've done that for 3 years, and then finally decided to get my foot wet in even living a more frugal way and simple way and free. How to live free on the road. BLM, Bureau of Land Management, National Forest. Once you travel, you will find that there are quite a lot of these free campsites that are spread out throughout the US. So you will have more than enough camping space to not only camp and live for free, but travel from one place to the next. And that is why I did mention freecampsites.net, because that is the in-between, finding little overnight campsites while you travel from one destination or to the next, or from one location to the next. So I want to remind you that pursuing your freedom and life on the road is as enjoyable as you make it. And it becomes more enjoyable the more you're able to declutter and travel light, the more you're able to save the majority of your income, or at least some, towards emergency fund and towards saving itself. So when the unexpected show up, you're just suffering a minor inconvenience and not in straight panic mode. So would I recommend personally for you to come out and live on the road during this time of social distancing, during this time of, most people are thinking?
Excuse me, Alicia. You have 5 minutes, and we're going to open up chat now for the participants to offer their questions for you. So please, everybody, I'm sure you are filled with questions, and Alicia has lots of answers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sue-Ann. So guys, I do look forward to your questions and answering them, because they will be more specific to covering areas that you want answers. So as I was saying, would I recommend you coming out at this particular time? The answer will depend on you individually, where you are in your planning stage, in your planning process. Are you financially ready to come out on the road in the vehicle that you currently own? Is it roadworthy? Is it safe? Is it up to par? And if you do have a breakdown, which will happen at some point, or possibly repairs that you may need, can you afford to take care of that? Do you have enough money in an emergency fund to last you about 6 months or more in the event you should lose your continuous monthly income? If you're retired, the planning might be a little different, because then you are already ready for the road, especially if you're collecting your pension or Social Security. It's just about budgeting and ensuring that you have a specific plan on how to make your money stretch and work for you traveling. So it all depends on the planning process that you're in. I would encourage you to take the plunge if you are ready in all of the areas that we talked about earlier, or if you are just finding yourself not being able to stay in your apartment or home for unforeseen reasons, or for the current situation that is happening, and you know that you have a vehicle and you can make it work. So just start planning, watch all the videos, see how people live. See how people live in the most simple way, so that you're not trying to keep up with the more, exorbitant lifestyles, because RVing, van life, car life can take on a whole different realm to itself of the way you live. So the simpler you make your life, the easier it's going to be, and you will be able to afford to come out on the road and sustain being on the road. Many times you may wonder, okay, so what if I come out on the road and I'm barely making it, or I don't like it? Sometimes what you think you don't like, with time and with spending time in nature and yourself and thinking about all the different reasons you are in the place you are at this time, you may change your mind as to how you like traveling. You don't have to travel from one place to the next very frequently. You can break it up in pieces. You are legally allowed to stay in one place on BLM or National Forest up to 14 days at a time. So literally you can move 2 times per month. So, and when you do move, you don't have to drive hundreds of miles away. You are legally allowed to drive about 25 air miles from one location to the next. So it reduces your cost and your expense on fuel. So I want to go ahead and jump into taking your questions. Hopefully I'll be able to answer them, and I appreciate you being here. Also remember to, if you're sending in a question, just click on those 3 little dots or more. Type your question in once you find the chat. It's usually at the top right, the little more, or the 3 dots you find the chat, or in participants, type your questions and send them in. Thank you. I think you're muted, Sue-Ann.
Whoops, there you go. Sorry about that. Okay, we have Dan K from Austin, Texas first. He says, thank you, Alicia. Which budget application do you like or recommend? Can you, and that's question one. And then his second question is, can you say more about the backup plan you discussed under step one?
Okay. So the budgeting app that I would recommend, because I'm a big Dave Ramsey fan, is Mint, and he recommends that. Mint collate all of your information in one place, whether it's your banking information, your credit card information, everything in one place, along with your income, and distribute everything evenly for you. However, personally, I do not use Mint anymore because that's years ago when I was on my debt-free journey. Having been living debt-free, now I use what is called a check-in app. And that check-in book app, what it does, it balances your checkbook for you so that you're not overspending. It also gives you the option of inputting all of your credit card information in, all of your debit cards, whatever you expend. And then it's all in one place. You see what's going in, what's coming out, and those are what I would recommend. As for my backup plan that I spoke about in step one, whenever you plan to go out on the road and you have children like I do, I homeschool 2 little girls. My backup plan was, if I did come west, because I'm from the East Coast, and visit the RTR, learn all I can about living on the road, but I couldn't figure it out in practically doing it, my plan was I would have just gone back to living in an RV park community. So I wasn't thinking of merging back into a home as per se, or an apartment. It's just that I had a little tri-state circle that I usually travel in, from Georgia, sometimes down to Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana area. So my home by little surrounding areas. So I was in my comfort zone, and that's where I plan on going back to in the event traveling did not work out for me. That was the backup plan.
Very good. Okay, Emily O'Neill asks, or she says, I'm trying to figure out which way to go, trailer or small, tiny home. Any advice? I do like the idea of being off-grid, often on BLM, but can also have hookups to my mom's home in the Northwest.
Okay, that would depend on 2 things. I would say you would choose a small, tiny home if you're planning on being static. But the whole purpose of traveling is to be able to wake up in different locations, different areas, being able to travel and explore the U.S. and possibly outside the U.S. if you can. However, if you want to remain static, I would say go with the smaller home. But if you do want to travel, a trailer is the way to go. And personally, I would travel. So trailer wins.
Thank you, Alicia. Okay, Ms. Eagle Mears ask, where can I go to make sure my rig is roadworthy? Thanks.
Okay, so a mechanic, a professional body shop or repair shop rather, they have mechanics that can run diagnostics on your vehicle for you, or just check it out for you in general to see what the health of your vehicle is. And they would already be able to tell you what's wrong with it, what repairs you need, how much it would cost to repair that. So that is where you'd find that out. However, I do recommend when you take your vehicle in for a checkup to try and use more than 1, 2 or 3 different shops, because different shop mechanics will come up with different things that possibly is wrong with your vehicle, and different cost point for parts and labor. So you may want to have something done for comparative, especially when it comes to spending your money on repairs. But having your vehicle roadworthy is just making sure everything checks out and mechanic give it a clean bill of health for the road.
Thank you. Okay, Tammy, let's see, says, thank you for your tips and experiences. How did you start a budget when you decided to leave the RV park and go boondocking?
Okay, so every lifestyle you transition for deserves its own budgeting. And you're right asking that question, because what I was budgeting for living in RV park, now living free, is not a part of my budget. And one of those biggest expense was paying for an RV lot and electricity, and also water and whatever else we had to pay for in that community. So I transferred that into calculating how much I was paying per month for the lot, and decided that, hey, if I invested in a solar system, how many of those months, if I had stayed there continuing to pay that lot rent, would it take to invest in that solar system? So immediately you're putting in the if scenario, where you're planning on transitioning from one lifestyle to the next, and you need certain needs met. So it's about trading in different things that you're currently paying for in the budget and trying to affix it to whatever it is those new needs are in your new lifestyle. Like things that you're going to need to travel on the road, things for cooking, stove, propane, maybe getting an RV and making that first investment in your van or car or whatever it is. So whatever it is that you do not have already that can come on the road and be used, and you're going to need it, like a solar system, then you put that in your budget and just transfer what you were paying for rent or mortgage or whatever situation you're in to whatever you have to initially invest in. And then after that investment, the rest is just all savings.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Okay, Journey Life Simply asks, how or where do you do your laundry?
Okay, so everywhere you travel in the United States, there are laundromats. So any area you travel to, just a simple Google laundromat near me, and it will take you to the very closest laundromat in the area that's close to your location. For me personally, I like to do laundry en route to my next destination. So I am not just wasting gas and just going to find a laundromat to do laundry. So if I'm traveling from one location to the next, there is a very cool little feature that allows you to search along your route what's available. And I'll stop and do all my little errands and laundry before going to my next destination. So laundromat is where I take care of that.
Good. Chirp asks, are you currently traveling in a caravan of people?
Well, funny that you asked that. I being the Caravan coordinator, currently we are not meeting face-to-face. So we're not having a face-to-face group at this time because of the current virus situation. So what we're doing is meeting online in virtual connections, and like this, the virtual class. However, when you do travel, you will have friends and you will have people that you know that, or even newbie that you're willing to invite in your camp. So I would say check the Facebook group for HOWA. It's We Camp Together if you put it in the search. And once you join that group, you will see a number of people who are opening up their camp for you to come to join. But personally, now, no, we're not traveling as a group. Whenever we travel, there are other van lifers and RVers around. Not that we know each other, we might become friends by introduction, but we're not traveling as a group as per se.
Okay. This is a similar question from Linda M. Is there a caravan to follow the weather? And then she also asked, what is the minimum power specification you recommend for a full-time nomad?
Okay. So Caravan, following the weather. Well, all my weather training on the road comes from Bob Wells Cheap RV Living. He teaches you how to follow the weather when you travel, and how to go to the Northeast whenever it is in the summertime and hot weather. And then when it gets really cold, where everybody try to gather in warmer areas like Arizona and so on. So I would say go and look at his videos, and he will teach you how to follow the weather. And as for the next question about how much power I would recommend, would depend on what you are using. So many nomads that come on the road wants to power their rig similarly to a house or apartment. Then you quickly learn and understand that's not possible if you're boondocking or, you know, free camping, dry camping, dispersed camping. So you have to now figure out a way how to limit your usage of the conveniences you used to have in your home or apartment, and then get a solar setup big enough to suit your needs. Just think about the things that you know you can't live without. You can't live without a blender, for example, because you have to do your juices. Okay, set up a system that can allow you to use that. You're a microwave user and you just have to draw a lot of power, you would need a bigger system. Depends on what you need to run. That's going to be so individual. And unless I know what you plan on running, our last class was on solar and how to find out the amount of power you need. Hopefully that will become soon for you to watch. They upload on YouTube channel for HOWA.
Okay, thank you. MM asks, can you provide a list of apps and websites to find campsites and boondocking?
Okay, so I'll quickly run a few by you. iOverlander, freecampsites.net is a website that HOWA recommends, and it's really, really works out wonderfully. There is one called Campendium. There are many apps if you go ahead and take the initiative to Google it. Casey did a class where she mentioned a whole bunch of apps, and those will become available soon once it's uploaded to HOWA YouTube channel, where she goes extensively and gave links to many different apps that you can use for finding. But the very main ones are what I mentioned, along with going on blm.gov and USFS, United States Forest Services. Those websites directly shows you a spread across the US where to find free dispersed camping.
Okay. Jim asks, how much is needed for reserve cash? More is better, but what do you think is the minimum would be? Also, how much will I need monthly?
Okay, so for reserve cash, it will be 6 months of what your personal expenses are or more. I would go ahead and say up to a year, but it fluctuates between 6 months to a year. Just depend on if you can afford to put away that much. And that as for how much you need for your expenses, and it's very, very individual. So for example, if you're traveling solo, you're only buying food for yourself and you're sustaining yourself. I'm traveling with myself and 2 girls, so I have to put that in the budget. If you can budget your fuel expenses, you can budget things. If you're buying things, which I don't recommend, because go on a spending freeze once you're trying to prepare for the road, save all you can. So everything else, just do thrift store and just buy essentials, things like toiletries and things that you need to use. Other than that, just your food budget for what your personal needs are. So your car insurance, your registration, your tag, if you are still paying car note, and if you're setting up solar system, if you're just starting to buy the survival items you need for coming out on the road, your budget is going to look different than someone else's depending on where you are in your planning stages and saving and what income you have and what expenses are going out.
Good. Okay, Carolyn, or it could be Caroline, I'm not sure, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name exactly. What advice would you have for someone who is plunging into van life and has an entire house to empty within 1 or 2 months?
Okay, within a month or 2, the first thing I would say, just start throwing out broken things and things you haven't used within the last 4 to 6 months. It's an easy declutter process when you clearly want to get rid of the things that you know you don't use or grab for on a regular basis. Once you get that done, if you have a time limitation for 2 months, each day tackle a room. And it depends on how many rooms are in your entire living space, but tackle a room each day. If you get overwhelmed, just wait. Go play Peter Duran, as I said. I'm telling you, he will motivate you getting rid of everything that you don't need. And once you tackle room by room, then you can go over again. So get rid of first things that are broken, things that you haven't grabbed for and used. Then you're only left with things that you possibly use. Then you can start going by numbers to say, I don't need 5 pair of jeans in the enclosed category. I may just need 1 or 2 pairs. So then go by item and now start sorting through and just keep your best stuff that you use and love. And get rid of the rest. Donate, sell, or trash it if it's garbage.
Good. Kirsten asks, what are some of the best tools to get on the road?
The best tools to get on the road, as in, I'm not quite sure I'm understanding your question, but I'll answer it based off what I think I understand you're asking. So the best tools is to prepare yourself for coming out on the road by ensuring that you have a plan. And if, as I said, some people wing it, but then you might find yourself in a little bit of hot water if you just wing it. Have a plan. And when you do have a plan, have a backup one if that plan doesn't work. The tools that you need are watching YouTube videos. Bob was Cheap RV Living YouTube channel. That will give you all the tools you need in every aspect and every area, especially if you buy his book. It will tell you everything from A to Z of planning your lifestyle for the road, coming out on the road, sustaining yourself on the road, and being successful at living the nomad lifestyle.
Very good. Tammy asks, how has your budget been adjusted now that you've been free of rents for a while? I've been working on cost and it really can change from month to month.
Yes, if cost change and fluctuates from month to month for you, it just depends on the type of budget you created. If for me personally, my budget changed in the way that, okay, if I'm not paying rent or I'm not paying electric bill or gas bill or whatever, I now have to think about what my lifestyle will replace for those amounts, even if it's at a lesser cost. So I still have to buy propane. I still have to live on the road and travel buying fuel. I will now have to, I still do pay many of the bills that I, carry with me on the road, like your insurance and your registration and, paying for your tax and all of that. And I do not have like vehicle notes and so on. So what I save, what I do is I go in and budget for things that I really, really need. When I budget for those things, everything else goes to saving. I do not use it for frivolous or unnecessary things or think I am deserving of something special just because I save something extra. You never know when you will encounter an emergency and will need those funding. So it's more of peace of mind. So just transfer what it is that you do not use anymore to what fits your new lifestyle. And if you can even simplify that by getting rid of things that you don't need, like, for example, doing the no fridge experiment. Phyllis talked about living without a fridge as a nomad on the road. That will take less propane for me and less draw on my solar power system. So little things that you will eliminate over time on the road that save money, even if it's just a little bit at a time.
Good. Monica Hummerick asks, what are the most common mistakes for new nomads in regards to full-time travel?
So common mistakes is coming out of the road without an emergency fund, coming out of the road on the road without a plan, a solid plan, and not checking out your vehicle to make sure it's roadworthy. So you're coming out thinking your vehicle is fine, then you encounter a big problem, whether it's with the transmission or any other repairs. So if you take the initiative to ensure that you check your vehicle, have it serviced and maintained and have it upkeep, then come out on the road with that. But it's a mistake to come out on the road, think that nothing will happen and now you're going to just live free and not pay much, without thinking that many of the costs that you left behind travels with you if you did not close them out or get rid of them. If you have credit card debt, it still comes with you. You have your vehicle payment, it still comes with you. So a lot of new mistakes includes not properly planning and budgeting for the road, not being able to secure work because thinking you'll just come out and find something randomly on the road, and then you don't and find yourself falling behind and using up all your savings or emergency fund because you're not finding what you thought you would. So just little mistakes like those that if you, with proper planning, it would take care of that.
Very good. Jen Safaris wants some clarification. She looked at that check-in app that you spoke about earlier, and she says it doesn't seem to be what you described.
Okay, so the Mint, as I explained, Mint is an app that you download, and it collates your credit card information, your banking information, your expenses, outcome, your income, and what's going out. That's Mint, M-I-N-T. However, the check-in app that I'm talking about, maybe you could look for it again. It's called Checkbook. And what the Checkbook app does for you is it collate all your banking information in together for you, and your balances, your credit cards. So I'm not sure which one you're downloading. There are quite many on the App Store. Mine is called Checkbook. So you may need to, and it looks like that if you can see it. And this is on iOS system. So I'm not sure if it's available for Android, but just about any checkbook balancing app that you download doesn't have to be specifically mine. You can balance what your income is, what your expenses are, your debit card, credit cards, everything collated in one place for you to be able to manage that.
Thank you. Okay, Mickey Howard said, I live in the northeast coast. Is it better to purchase my rig where all the nomad community lives, or do I need to change my driver's license to the state where I'll be most camping? How much is the car insurance? Is it expensive to register an RV? So lots of questions there. The first one is, where does it make sense to purchase their rig?
Okay, so where it makes sense to purchase your rig depends on what your budget is for purchasing a rig. Are you purchasing a van, an RV, or whatever it is? The simplest method is to go online and research the various sellers that are there for the particular vehicle you're looking for. Then once you find who is selling your vehicle, whether it is private sale or going to a dealership, what you're going to do is either call or check online and review all of the recalls, or review the comments that reviews that people write about the vehicle and what's happening, and just make your decision based on what the pricing is. Check Kelley Blue Book to see what the value is in comparison to what it's being sold for. So there are many things that go into purchasing the right vehicle for you. Just depend on what vehicle you're purchasing, how much you budget for it, and whether you want to buy it from a private sale or go to a dealership where you can possibly get some kind of warranty on the vehicle for returning in the event it doesn't work out.
Okay. The next question was, do I need to change my driver's license to the state where I'll be most camping?
Well, your driver's license should be in the state of your residency. So whichever state that you choose as your domicile, your residency, the state that's going to be your home state, that's where you should have your driver's license. Bob just did a brand new video on how to become a Nevada resident. So you could check that out and check out previous videos he had on obtaining a driver's license and residency. So all of those correlates, but it would be better for you to have your driver's license wherever your vehicle is registered and licensed and, insured, and everything is in one state. Not that you can't have two different, but legally by law, they may give you a 30-day limit to transfer your driver's license to the state that you're now registered in. Just different from state to state. Check the state law for that state and you will know.
Okay. And then the next question was, how much is the car insurance?
Okay, so car insurance varies depending on the type of vehicle you have. So there are so many different insurance companies that you can research online before, insuring your vehicle and make comparisons to see what their price lines are and what coverages they have, whether you're doing comprehensive coverage or you're planning on just doing liability. So there's a lot of variables going in, but I could not say exactly and give you a price what your car insurance would be.
And this next one is going to be a similar kind of answer. Is it expensive to register an RV?
No, some states don't even require it. Just have to do your research. But the ones that do require for you to register it, I don't find where it is that expensive. For example, in Arizona, the registration for a vehicle, they can put the cost down a little for you if you decide to register it for a complete 5 years. So it just depends. And then because of the depreciation each year on your vehicle, that goes into the cost of how much you pay for registration spanning for those number of years. So I would not say it's expensive. It's reasonable.
And it varies from state to state.
Thank you, Swen. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Darlene C. says, thank you and HOWA for another great presentation. Do HOWA supported caravans tend to form around shared goals of nomad lifestyle? That is, those working and needing Wi-Fi all the time, or other commonalities?
Okay, so the caravans, you'll find different individuals from different walks of life, different stages in their nomad lifestyle, coming together in one place and getting to know each other. And yes, there will be commonalities, and that is how sometimes you make connections, because someone is doing something that you like or similar to the way you're living. But what is true about the nomad's lifestyle is that true independent spirit, and like truly independent, where everyone is a little bit different and unique in their own way and right. So, but when they do come together, yes, you gather around a campfire and you get to talk and you get to find out what, commonalities you have, what do you have in common, and similarities and stuff like that. So in that sense, yes, it's a community. So the nomad community kind of bonds together in a nice, unique way, looking out for each other, teaching each other, and it's fun.
We have a lot more questions, so I chose this last question. I think is going to be pretty quick answer. It's from Journey Life Simply. What percentage of time do you have cellular service available to you while out boondocking?
Okay, so for me personally, I use 2 carriers, and the reason why I've done that, I've learned from Suen and everyone else that being on the road, sometimes signals vary depending on the carrier. The 2 major carriers, AT&T and Verizon, are those that at least 90% of the time or 95% of the time you're going to find coverage. It's rare when you have to maybe use T-Mobile or another carrier because Verizon or AT&T is working. It depends on how widely you travel, where you're traveling to, how far out in the boonies you're going, right? So I personally have full coverage all the time. Sometimes it's spotty, especially in areas that you go that the cell tower is not just close enough or within reach. And then you have to make do. But there are there are websites that you can go on to check your upload and download speeds wherever you go, so that you can decide if you're working and need, proper, connections. You can check that before staying at that spot, or just move on to somewhere else.
Very good. Okay, we're at the end of our time here. Lots more questions, Alicia, so I'm sure the chat's going to be a busy time for you. Do you want to say one last thing before we go into chat?
Yes, many thanks, Wayne. I appreciate you. And just remember, prepare your mind and understand that you will be waking up in new places quite frequently. And you decide where you travel to and how extensively you want to travel. It beats 4 walls anytime, I guarantee it. And the less things you own, the less stress you have to work and to care for and watch over. So with proper research and strategic planning, you'll continue to appreciate your decision. You'll get to see, enjoy, and explore nature and live in nature. So many thanks for sharing your time listening, and I hope the information is helpful and to you while you prepare for the road. Stay healthy, happy, and I look forward to chatting with you for another 15 minutes in the chat. Wishing you guys all the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Be sure when you do enter chat that you select all panelists and attendees, so that not just Alicia, myself, and Phyllis can see what you've written, but all the other attendees or participants can see as well. Thank you for being here, everyone.